Hello teachers, welcome back to section 13-3, part 3. We have to move this to a part 3 to describe the last thing that we need to talk about, which is the distance formula. And we want to use, the equation of a circle. Now, they're using the distance formula to develop the equation of a circle, and that's the right thing to do. It says from the distance formula we have r is equal to the square root of x squared plus y squared. Now, really, where's that coming from? Okay, so let's back up just a minute. Remember the distance formula that d is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. That's our distance formula. So when you look at that compared to what's written up here, you might be thinking, what in the world? All right, let's talk about it. Okay, now over here we have a circle. And what we're trying to do is build the equation of a circle using the distance formula. Now, first of all, how is a circle defined? Remember, a circle, you have to have a center. And the definition of a circle is all the points that are the same distance from a center point or a single point. So they call that distance r. Okay, so that's the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to change our d to an r because in this picture they call distance r. All right, and a circle is every point that is the same distance. If I just drew r's all over here, every point that's r away from the origin or from the center. Now, they don't mean every circle is not from the origin, but this particular circle is. So what's our center? Our center is right there, and it is 0, 0. Okay? Now, a point on the circle right here, we don't know what that point is, but no matter what, it is x, y. No matter where you put it on the circle, it's an x value and a y value. Now, let's plug in that into our distance formula. So that would give me the square root of, now I'm trying to find the distance of r, so it's going to be x minus 0. That's my x2 minus x1. So x minus 0 squared plus, now I'm supposed to subtract my y value. So y minus 0 squared. So that's going to give me r is equal to the square root. Now x minus 0 we know is x, and then I still have to square it, plus y minus 0 is y, I still have to square it. And then you might go, oh, okay. I hope you do anyway. That's where they get that formula from. I don't think it's just so clearly obvious that it's right there, but maybe it is. I hope it is for you, but just in case it's not, that was the detailed explanation. So the equation of a circle with center at the origin, which remember is 0, 0, is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Now, what did they do there? How did they get that, right? That's not what we have right here. Well, let's square both sides. If I square this side, I'm required to square this side. It's a property of equality. You have to square both sides. So that gives me r squared, okay? And then this square root and this square cancel each other out. So it turns out that this does hold true. We have ours written the other way, but there you go, okay? R squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. Now, that only applies for a circle that has the center at the origin. What about if the center is somewhere else? Well, here we go, right? We move the circle somewhere else. Now, our center is HK. Okay, so your center, I selected it. Your center is right here at HK. And again, XY is any point on the circle. Again, the distance formula, remember? So it's d equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. If you're not comfortable with that, go back and watch part 2 of the video. We spent the whole time talking about the distance formula. All right, now, if I use my picture to plug in there, so I'm subtracting my x's, right? That's x minus h, okay? And we call it r. Why? Because that's radius. So if I subtract my x's, that's x minus h squared, plus I subtract my y's, that's y minus k squared. So that gives us this formula from the distance formula. You know what we do? The same thing we did on the last page. We square both sides. Why? Because we don't like a big square root in our problem. And that gives us, finally, the equation of a circle. Now, you're not going to have to reprove it for me from the distance formula or even from the Pythagorean Theorem, which is where the distance formula came from. I need you to know this light green one that I just highlighted at the bottom, but we do need to be able to use it. And so I'm just going to quickly, it's going to take me 5 minutes to show you 2 different homework problems where we use the equation of a circle. Okay, you ready? So here's the first one. Now, how about we write down our equation of a circle that we just learned over here? Remember, it is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So when you see problems that say find the equation of the circle with the given center and radius, you go ahead and write that formula down because you're going to need it. Okay? So for A, we have a point, let's call this, that's our center, right? So that's our HK. That's the center of our circle. And then our radius is 20. That's our R value. Okay? Now when you finish, you're still going to have an X and a Y in your equation because it's an equation of a circle. All right, so here we go. I have X minus, now my H is negative 11 squared from the formula, okay? And then Y minus, my K value is 13 squared, and it equals to the radius. Don't forget to square that radius. Now simplify this, make it look pretty. So these 2 negatives turn positive. That's X plus 11 squared plus Y minus 13 squared, and 20 squared is 400. And this is as simplified as you need it. You don't have to take it any further. So what I want you to do now is pause the video and do part B on your own. I know you can do this. All right, so how did it go? We said we have X minus, my X value of my center is negative 17. So we have another one of those situations where that's going to turn positive. And then Y minus 15 squared. And I'm supposed to have the square root of 13 all squared. Now the negative of a negative 17 turns positive. So X plus 17 squared plus Y minus 15 squared. Now what happens over here, the square root and the square cancel each other out to get 13. And this is the equation of the circle. Now notice a couple of things. Whenever you're adding inside your set of parentheses, that actually means the center coordinate is negative. But whenever you're subtracting in the parentheses, that means the center coordinate for whatever variable you're dealing with is positive. So again, this would mean negative 11 is the x coordinate center, or your h value, and positive 13 is your y coordinate center, or your k value. Okay, happened on this one as well. So the reason I'm pointing that out, and you need to know that, is that the next question asks the opposite thing. So this time you are given the equation and you have to say the center and the radius. So we might not do them all, but do remember that the equation of a circle is right here. There it is. So that's what we need to refer to when we do these problems. Now when you look at A, it says x squared plus y squared equals 169. Well, we're not even subtracting or adding anything, right? Now here's the way you can think about that. If you only have an x squared and not an x plus something or x minus something with a square on the outside, that really means we have x minus 0 squared or plus 0, it doesn't matter. And then x minus 0 squared is equal to 169. That's what you really have going on. So that means our center, our HK value is 0, 0. Okay, and if that had been a plus and a plus, it still doesn't matter because if you subtract or add 0, it's still the same value. Okay, so center is 0, 0, and R is not 169. It's the square root of 169. So R is actually 13 in this case. So center 0, 0, radius 13. What about B? Again, I promise you I won't do them all. All right, so B, we have, I'm going to recopy, x minus 11 squared plus y minus 6 squared is equal to 196. Okay, so my center, remember how there's a negative in the formula, which means my h value is positive 11. Again, there's a negative in the formula, so my K value is positive 6. All right, and then my R value is the square root of 196, which is 14. So there's my center and there's my radius. Okay, I think you can do the rest of them. If we talked about C just ever so briefly, I can't let it go, can I? So C, I'm going to squeeze up here at the top. All right, remember, since there's a minus in the formula, then your H value is the opposite of what's inside. So my H value is negative 13. My K value, again, just like before, is the opposite of what's inside because there's a minus in my formula. It's positive 7. And my R is the square root of 17. And you might be thinking, well, that's not a nice number. It's not. But that's it. That's your radius. If the square root of 17 could be simplified, I would have to do that, but it can't. I'm going to leave D for you because I know absolutely you can do that without my help. So finally, wrapping up section 13-3, there's a lot there. If you have any questions about it, please let me know, and I hope you have a wonderful day.